If you got outside today, you notice it was much calmer. Let's go ahead and head to Brittany Van Voorhees. Brittany, that was not the case everywhere. You've been tracking Hurricane Erin.
Yes, of course, definitely an impact to our territory, of course, down in Puerto Rico. Right now, we are seeing a lot of heavy rain, a lot of gusty winds on the island. Storm right now about north and northeast at about 150 miles away from San Juan, but it is still about 1,300 and change away from us here in the Charlotte area. As we've talked about for days now, still consistent data looking like Erin is going to take that turn to the north and northeast thanks to a split in two areas of high pressure. One small thing that our team, though, is watching is a small change in where the center of the storm is right now, as shift toward the south and a shift toward the west. Now, again, that doesn't mean that anything major will happen and change. And in fact, still in the near term, most data looks to stay the same. That does not mean, though, in the long term, we couldn't see some slight minor changes, so make sure you're staying tuned for updates. Right now, what we can tell you is there's still strong confidence that the center of Erin will stay offshore and there will be no direct impacts to us here in the coastal Carolinas and, of course, inland as well. Now, along the coast, there will be direct or what we call indirect impacts, right? With a close proximity, especially on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, because the Outer Banks jut out. It makes our coastline unique in which those areas can still see pretty indirect impacts that can be significant from even a storm that's offshore. And what I mean by that is the closer proximity to that center of circulation means higher wave heights and elevated rip current risk, and of course some minor coastal flooding and beach erosion. So that's what we'll be watching heading into the middle part of the week. We are expecting some weakening within Erin by the middle part of the week, still likely a low in category 3, if not an upper category 2. So not at its peak intensity like it was earlier at 160, but we'll wobble back and forth between a category 4, category 5 over the next few days, and then eventually start to see that dissipation. So again, model data pretty consistent about this trek to the north and northeast. We'll have to watch what happens with the next forecast tracks that come out tomorrow. Likely going to see a few more Hurricane Hunter planes flying in and out of the storm, collecting more data. And of course, if anything changes, we'll let you know. What I am liking is that we've seen those consistent trends and patterns, though, of a center still staying offshore. Now, yes, a wobble closer to the coast would mean higher indirect impacts, but of course, that trend further away would mean lesser and lesser. So right now, again, it's something we're watching, not something we'll worry about. But if you do live along the coastal communities of the Carolinas, maybe you have friends or family in that area, I would make sure now they're preparing for middle of the week, so late Tuesday and into Wednesday, to start to see some of those impacts in terms of the rip currents, the beach erosion, and of course the elevated wave heights, especially for those areas in the Outer Banks that have those homes that sit right on the beach, like in Rodanthe. We'll likely see higher risk for those folks. Maximum potential of seeing tropical storm force winds along the Outer Banks, about 20%, if not less. So again, not expecting direct impacts here, but a very close proximity in terms of these elevated wave heights. We're looking at 10 to 15 feet for some of those wave heights near the coastline, again, especially in the Outer Banks where they're closer to the center, and some of those isolated wave heights could get closer to 20 as you're getting into long range offshore fishing, things like that. So make sure, again, friends and family are aware in any of those changes heading into the middle part of the week. As we look at satellite radar, no rain issues right now. We will see a pop-up shower or storm in the afternoon tomorrow, but again, very, very isolated, less than a 20% chance of rain. If you're looking for more storm potential, which I know many of us aren't, we'll see about a 30 to 40% chance of a few pop-up storms on Monday. So still pretty dry tomorrow. Monday will be your next best chance for rain with about a 30 to 40%. Here's that 7-day forecast. Hot and humid still this weekend with a 20 to 30% chance of rain. Mid-90s, feeling like the upper 90s to near 100. But of course, by the end of the week, we'll start to see some of that more higher rain chances, and eventually, of course, tracking Erin as that center is expected to stay offshore.